Kagurabachi Part 1 just ended recently, and I thought it'd be cool to do a tier list. I did a breakdown recently. It's going to be on the top right if you want to see that. But yeah, a lot of these abilities we don't have a lot of info about, but I'm going to just assume, and if I get proven wrong in Part 2, then there's that. But otherwise, I am going to go all in and just decide on a tier. But let's get started here with Air Spikes. So Air Spikes is one of the abilities of these brothers here. It wasn't that strong from what we saw. It was easily taken care of. It's not like the most useless ability, which is good. So I'm just going to put it at a solid C tier here. Then we have Armor Doll. So this is used by a Hokuto from the Hishaku. This is a decent ability. It's being able to remotely control a puppet is pretty cool, and he's also able to create parts of that puppet for himself, which we saw in the protection. I think this is a decent ability. It's not super overpowered because I do think that he is going to eventually maybe get a sword here, but otherwise I think this is a solid B tier. Blood Crane. So Blood Crane, we've heard Yura say that it wasn't that strong of an ability. I think that's a little misleading, as I personally think it's a decent ability, as he's able to control, as Hirohiko is able to control these papers and make different forms out of it. He can sense with them. I think it's a solid ability at B tier here. Body change is cool. You're able to just change parts of your body for certain things. I think this one's okay though, somewhere near like the Air Spikes level. Body control, this one being able to move your body parts around and control it. It seems pretty strong. Again, because we don't see anything about it, I just feel weird putting these on the same level as more established abilities. Same thing with needles, so I'm going to put them all together, but I do think in the right context, these two can be stronger or in the same level as a B tier here. Then we saw Chanting. So Chanting was just able to do some paper cuts. It's not that great. I think I'm just going to put this one at D tier. It has the potential to be solid, but otherwise not too great. Koen's an interesting one. It's able to just buff yourself and debuff your opponent. Like I said in the video, I don't think this one is too strong, but I do think it's nice just having this general buff and debuff, and the way Azami uses it makes it pretty good. And just because Azami is the main user of this, obviously we know that it comes from his family and that he's the first one to really push it like this, but I just think it creates a whole potential legacy of what this ability is able to do. Demon Cloak, we saw nothing of it, and the Enchanted Blade was able to take care of it, so I'm gonna have to put it in D. Dark Clones, this one's pretty cool. I think it has a lot of usability, being able to create a bunch of clones, merge with them, bunch of their clones. I think it's solid, a high C tier. And we have Engorged Arms and Enlarged Arms, which I think are very similar. Engorged Arms is just making its arms bigger. I think Enlarged Arms is a little better than it, just because Engorged Arms seems to be limited on the simple fact that it's just creating bigger arms, while Enlarged Arms is able to change the Enlarged Hands is able to change the shape of the hands here. Otherwise though, I think they're both fine. I think this one's C and this one's probably D. Flamebone, so Flamebone has to be an S. We haven't seen all of it, but we know that Spine is super flexible. You're able to use it to protect yourself, to impale your opponents. We do know that the fist is the gauntlet that it's able to create. Hyuki is able to use it to punch people, and she can also summon it remotely. It's just a strong ability, and I can't wait till we see other parts of the body of the skeleton here. So I think it's going to be an easy S tier here. Gansui is a decent ability that is more of a support. She's able to control the terrain. I think it's a cool one. Ice Control. So one of the comments that I got recently of my sorcery breakdown video, this person introduced to me the theory that potentially Uran is able to control and thermoregulate either her opponents or in some way, right? And that's why there was a fire during the Kunishigi assassination. I think that's an interesting theory, and if that's the case, this ability is definitely going to be a very strong one, but otherwise I think it's okay, and I'm just going to put it at the B tier. This seems to be the inferior version. Again, we're going to see if it's even connected, but Ice Skin is just able to cool people down. I'm sure if you train it well, it can be a lot better, but otherwise it's an easy D tier. And we have Invincible. So Invincible is solid, being able to essentially just create these Dharmas that are able to explode and can turn yourself into a Dharma and explode. It's pretty funny and pretty epic here. I think it's a solid for an enemy in the beginning. I think it's a pretty good ability. I'm kind of conflicted, but I think I'm gonna go low B tier for this one. So Iron Form, I think Iron Form is very strong. I think it's such a fun ability to be able to use to turn yourself into iron and scratch people up. I think this is a good ability. If given the chance, could have really seen a lot more usage here. So Isou is very flexible. The fact that you're able to create these sound waves, that are great for not only obviously like pushing things away, but also being able to move in midair. It just seems like it has a lot of flexibility, and I like this ability. I think the abilities that are more simple are a lot better, and this is definitely one of those. And we have Jikai. So Jikai, I think, has one of the like highest potentials that we can see, just because the ability to control iron, we know from characters like Magneto that in theory is super powerful. Not only that, or just magnetism in general, the creative spin to be able to use the Kaminabi headquarters as an MRI machine and search people down was such a cool way to implement that. And now the fact that he's able to control his buddy here kind of remotely is great, and it just puts him to the next level. I think Jikai is going to be a great ability coming into part 2. Jobaku is a funny one. All it does is just kind of holds down your opponents. Not that great. It's a good assist ability, but I think D, just from what we saw, Demon Monster or Kaichi. So okay, again, we never got to see it be used. We know that this was the second option for the Cloud Gouger, for the anti-Cloud Gouger force here. But we never got to see it be used. Again, I think in part 2 we're gonna see it, and it's gonna be solid. But otherwise, if I had to guess, I don't think it's gonna be that strong, just for the simple fact that it wasn't even able to stop Sojo. Obviously, he had an enchanted blade, but yeah, he wasn't able to use it fast enough, which isn't completely fair, right? But I think ultimately it's gonna end up being either a low B or a high C. I'm put it a low B. Again, these are kind of taking guesses of how strong this is gonna be once we see it, and just based on the implication. So Koen, this one is just another ability booster. He's able to increase one of his physical prowess, his speed, his power. I like these type of abilities. They're simple, but it also makes him a great option to get the enchanted blade, because it's not an ability that will be missed. So I think Koen here, we could put it on a B tier. Then we have Mako. So Mako is pretty strong, or Mako. This is used by Bingo. I think this is a fun ability, being able to create these little heads that are annoying for your opponent to deal with, and it slows them down. Not only that, you're able to eat your opponents by turning into this big head. It's very flexible. I think it's a decent ability. It does suck that you have to keep eating people to feed this ability. So I think that's what's going to really limit it here. But otherwise, I think Mako makes for a great either low A, or I think a B tier is a fair way to put it here. So Pine Tree Sorcery. So somebody pointed out to me that Shakugai is the one that is really using this Pine Tree Sorcery, and that it's not Yura, and that he's just giving them the ability to use it with these seeds. And because of that, I think it's going to make Pine Tree Sorcery a lot better, in the sense that now it's more limited and it doesn't feel like an ability that everybody can use. And so that's good. I think that's fun. I think we've seen in the manga just how many flexible uses for this. We can use it to interrogate people, create walls, hold people down with it. We saw that they were even able to break into the Kaminabi headquarters using this. It's not a crazy offensive ability, but as we've seen with Hashirama from Naruto, it's a good ability to just be able to create wood like this and control it. So I think it makes for a solid A tier or high B. I think I'm okay with going with high A here. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at high A, or low A, I mean. Then we have plant form. So all we saw is that this guy turns into a seed, comes out and can slash his opponent. That's funny as like a surprise attack. Not that great though, just because again it got taken care of pretty fast. So I'm just gonna put the air beads. So we saw this used. All it does is seems to hold down your opponent. I don't know if it can do anything else. I'm sure it's going to be able to. Right now, I feel okay putting it at a D, just because it seems pretty limited, but I do see it possible for it to have multiple uses later on, just because it does seem pretty simple for that. A psychological trauma. So this is the ability that was used by the Trauma Brothers. This one we saw it used against Chihiro and Sojo with different results, right? With Chihiro, it was like able to stun him enough where they were able to take Char. But with Sojo, he was able to deal with it. And again, I don't know if it's just because the little brother of the trauma user wasn't as experienced, or because Sojo is less affected. But otherwise, I do think it's a decent ability. The fact that you have to get close to it, but you can stun your opponent, it's a decent support ability. I'm okay with putting it here at a low C. And we have Raikou, where you can cover yourself with an electric aura. This is a decent ability, just again, another buff attack. I don't think it's super overpowered, but you can go fast, you can slice into your opponents better. It's a solid ability. I think I'm okay with putting this at low B. Again, it's not super powerful, but I think it's solid. Regeneration, so we saw this with the Kyonagi clan. Char is the last user of this from what we know. Being able to regenerate yourself is pretty good. I think in the right context, this can be extremely powerful. If the character becomes just a sword user that's able to heal themselves, this can be very strong. Yeah, I think just because Char's a little kid right now, she's not able to utilize it completely. But if she becomes a fighter, the fact that she can heal herself, I think this can become a very powerful ability. I'm just gonna put it at low B, as well as being able to heal your opponents or heal your teammates. That is very good, and that it makes it very flexible. Smoke axe, so we saw that you're basically able to dash in one direction by clapping your hands together. It seems okay for an elite force member. It's a little underwhelming, but I mean, it's cool. I'll put it though at C here. Smoke fist, we see that this guy has a big fist and he's able to just push some air out that's able to make it hit harder. To me, that's kind of underwhelming. I'm gonna put that at D. The Storehouse, so the Storehouse I think is very strong. It's not a crazy powerful like ability, in the sense that it's more of a utility based. Once you're in there, you're able to warp the space to your liking. The fact that you can store things in there and hold it as hostage for your opponent makes it very difficult for them to do what they want with you, especially if you're able to get in and out of the Storehouse. Being able to project things out of it is pretty fun. So the Storehouse is a very prominent ability, super powerful, and especially when tied with the Isou, which you saw with Hakuri, you're able to summon weapons and push them out. It just seems really good. I'm going to put it at A tier here. Then we have the Sumo Ring. This is a decent portability. If you have a teammate who is super destructive, this is a good ability just to make sure that nobody gets hurt. Otherwise, on its own, it doesn't really do anything. I'm gonna put D tier here. Again, it's like Gansui. Just that Gansui, you could use it more offensively. You can control the land and use it to attack people or create walls. Sumo Ring, you're just pushing, like if you put yourself and someone else in a different area. I don't think it's that powerful though. So here we have Transform. So this is like Mystique here. Again, we don't know the conditions to transform, but it can be misleading. It could be pretty annoying for people to deal with, especially if obviously they don't know who you are. So that's decent. We're gonna put that at C. Then we have Twilight Wave. I think this one is pretty underwhelming. The fact that he held it for 7 months, this power, right, of just his body heat, and was able to release it and just create one explosion, to me was super underwhelming. I'm gonna put that at D tier, but I think this was gonna make him a good candidate to receive Subaru's blade here. Then we have Warpath. So Warpath, you can see that you can touch someone and then teleport them somewhere else. Another good assist ability. I feel like it just kind of suited the narrative. It was a way for Hakuri to get out of the situation he was in. Otherwise, it's not super powerful, but I mean, it could be useful as an assist. Now we're down to the last two. Wicked Trick here is Shiba's ability that was recently revealed. You're able to control change the physical properties of either yourself or the people you're touching. So you can use this to teleport, maybe get bigger, maybe make someone heavier. This has a lot of utility. We haven't even gotten to see like a little bit of what this ability is able to do. I think this is just a super strong power, potentially at S tier, but at the very least at A tier for sure. Yellow chains, we can use this to hold someone down and then use it in tandem with the air spikes, is a good little combo, but otherwise I think it's going to be a D tier. Honestly, I feel pretty happy with the tier list. I think Flamebone deserves to be the only one at S tier, just because again, this was the only one that they thought was possible to go against the Mikoboshi, and they always say that it rivals the Enchanted Blades, which is crazy. I'm sure we're going to see more of that later, but yeah, A tier, these are all solid abilities that are flexible and able to do multiple things, and I think that's very powerful for an A ability. B abilities are strong, potentially have the power to be even better in the future, but otherwise they're decent. The C abilities are a little underwhelming. I think in the right circumstance, they could be good. Maybe with the right assist can be good, but otherwise they're not that strong on their own. Then the D abilities are kind of weak, and at least in terms of the rest of the manga, and have only been used once or twice, or can only really be used with other people. Otherwise, this is the tier list. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and then check out the tier list. It is in the description down below. Let me know how you guys made your tier list and what you would change about mine. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.